So imagine waking up next year in 2026 with 16 times your initial investment. According to some calculations that I'm going to walk you through, that is possible with SEI Network's SEI token. And that's why we bought as much as we did. Again, more on that exact number and why we came to it later. Specifically, it was 3,225 SEI. As of right now, long-term SEI holders have earned 22,700% on their money. Of course, those were the super early investors who saw the most massive ROI in SEI. That's true. But then recently, we have institutional confidence in SEI that has started to grow, I would say, exponentially. And yesterday's SEI news in particular surprised a lot of us, myself included, despite the fact that we're bullish on this project. The news was definitely groundbreaking. We're going to cover that in this video, and we're going to look at some realistic numbers here, use the latest data, the most up-to-date price forecasts, and I'm going to very adamantly and quantitatively defend that investment that we've just made into SEI. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie, and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck if you choose to invest. I genuinely wish you well. But of course, just remember, I am not a financial or investment advisor, nor is this video official financial or investment advice. All right, let's kick off with that big news that I mentioned from yesterday. This is pretty massive. The United States SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, they have officially accepted the application for the Canary Spot Staked SEI ETF. It's a mouthful. As of the 8th of September 2025. Okay, let's break that down. The Canary Spot Staked SEI ETF would be among the first POS or proof of stake asset-based ETFs under SEC review, notable for integrating staking rewards into a tradable fund structure. Now, this ETF is special because in particular, just like a regular ETF, this Canary Spot Staked SEI ETF will offer the U.S. institutional and retail investors direct exposure to SEI, which is, of course, the native token of the SEI Network. And this ETF aims to provide not only price exposure to SEI, but also passive income through staking rewards generated, of course, by staking the underlying SEI tokens on the SEI blockchain. But we have to understand that on the 8th of September, the SEC only accepted the ETF application. We might see the approval, we might not, but that decision is going to come to us in November of 2026, so it's still over a year away. If that happens, though, it could send SEI to the moon. I think it certainly will. And by the way, in kind of semi-related news, something to keep in mind is next week's Fed interest rate cut that has been insinuated. We expect an announcement of some kind. If we see that happening, given that the chances are very high, SEI is also going to be among the first altcoins to rally very hard in response. Okay, now, if you are totally new to SEI, that's perfect, no problem. I'm going to explain the project in detail in this next section. But if you're more familiar with the token, with the SEI Network as a project, if you want, check the timestamps below. You can skip to the why did we buy 3,225 SEI section. Again, use the timestamps below. So what exactly is SEI Network? If I were to really describe it in a nutshell, it's basically a project that has the word financial that's just written all over it. It caters to DeFi, decentralized finance, and also offers a variety of financial apps. You may want to check out this recent video. It's a deep dive that we did into the SEI network. I'll include a link to that in the description below. But SEI claims to be the fastest parallel blockchain. And if we were to go by these numbers here, it's 3 times faster purportedly than Solana and Ethereum. Because of the speed SEI is offering, its DEX volumes are up 7 times in the last year. Active wallets have surged to 5 million, which is almost quintupled in the last 6 months. And even TVL, or total value locked in SEI, is worth $600 million, which is 6 times in the last 12 months. But that being said, we're not seeing all of this translate candidly into a higher price for the SEI token, at least not recently. And that's exactly why this whole ETF approval could be the exact trigger, the catalyst kind of event where SEI could see the price pump that I feel is kind of overdue at this point, to be honest. Right now, SEI is also setting up the rails in a major way to accommodate real-world assets, or RWA, in its infrastructure. There are 2 major steps to this here, so we're going to take a closer look at what they are in particular and why they really matter. They're really significant as far as being a big deal, both of them. The first major one is an integration with Chainlink's CCIP, which of course is the acronym for Chainlink's Interoperability Protocol. This is going to connect SEI with 61 networks and 142 tokens. Those numbers may be out of date. This list is growing all the time. It also enabled over $20 trillion in transaction value, TVE. And then the other big variable here is Circle's USDC stablecoin is coming to SEI Network. That means native USDC on SEI, which is going to bring more than $62 billion to SEI's ecosystem. This is great news for the project. For context, what we're talking about here is Circle's cross-chain transfer protocol, or their CCTP. Well, as it happens, we have Chainlink's CCIP, which was already integrated with Circle's CCTP back in January 2024. So this means that SEI is ready to engage directly in the RWA market. The rails are being built out and fortified as we speak. This Altcoin Buzz Spotlight video is sponsored by SEI. Altcoins right now seem to finally be on the move from what has been a pretty rough 2025 so far in the crypto markets, but people are kind of getting that feeling that alt season may start soon if it hasn't already. And SEI is having a great 2025 so far by comparison by bucking the otherwise nasty trend from most in the first half of the year while still growing right now. It has quickly become one of the leading altcoins in this market and is up over 370% in the last year, in the last 12 months. Let's check out why. First of all, SEI is crushing it on all fronts in which it's involved. It's killing it in the big sectors that it supports, like DeFi. That's where SEI nearly crossed $2 billion in TVL and is almost at $1.5 billion in record time. SEI also has some of the fastest stablecoin growth of any chain, so people are using it for real transactions. And Walrus is changing the game in decentralized data storage. Its token launch was a big success, while Seal and Nautilus make things more secure and more private. Plus, SEI Play 0x1 is coming in September and is now officially sold out with 10,000 pre-orders. SEI even has a small but rapidly growing meme coin market for the meme coin lovers out there, if that's your jam. If you haven't used SEI lately, then you should come check it out. Give it a try. And also follow SEI's X account for all the latest updates. Check out the link in the description below. All right, so why did we buy 3,225 SEI tokens specifically? And for this, I want to get into a technical analysis portion of the video. If we look at this chart here, we're looking at the last 12 months. The most recent support level was at 14 cents in April. We're now at 31.2 cents with a market cap of $1.87 billion. Now, I'm going to be a little bit optimistic given all the positive news that we've seen. Personally, I don't really see us going back to that support level, the 14-cent range, anytime soon. The only kind of exception being some unanticipated, unknowable black swan event. Yeah, that's always possible in crypto, but aside from that, I don't really see us going back to those support levels. For the record here, and looking at the broader perspective, we have SEI's ATL, or all-time low. That was October 2023 at 9.5 cents, and that was well over 2 years ago. That was an excellent entry point in hindsight, but we don't have crystal balls. We can't see into the future with perfect clarity. So instead, we're going to take a look at SEI's current resistance. That takes us back to early December 2024 when SEI hit 70.9 cents. Let's just call that 71 cents for the sake of convenience. For SEI's all-time high, we need to go back to March 2024. That all-time high sits right now and still is $1.14, which is roughly a 4x from where we are right now. SEI is actually down despite all the positive news over the course of the last month, but if we look at the last 14 days or so, SEI is up marginally. Nothing too impressive given the context of what's going on, but we also kind of know that the market's been a little bit ho-hum, certainly underwhelming. And then just keep in mind that as far as tokenomics go, out of a total 10 billion supply of SEI, we have 6 billion already in circulation, so that's 60% for, let's call it, a relatively young project. Not good, not great, not bad, I suppose. The more tokens that circulate, the less vesting and unlocking surprises you're going to have. SEI Network's TGE, their token generation event, came hand in hand with their SEI airdrop. You may remember it's an airdrop that didn't go well in terms of the reception by its recipients for how small it was. And I think that was kind of a valid criticism, to be honest. And as a result, it actually caused quite a bit of backlash from SEI's community. Again, understandably so. However, fast forwarding to today, it seems that SEI has overcome some of these issues and is faring pretty well. One variable to keep in mind, though, is the fact that SEI has monthly unlocks of 55.56 million SEI all the way until August of 2027. So that's roughly 0.96% of the circulating supply. And, just natural arithmetic, these monthly unlocks can and probably will cause minor price drops, nothing too crazy, but they do happen. They're predictable. They are inevitable. So keep it in mind. Just remember that unlocks won't end until March 2031 in terms of the totality of the unlocks. So that's still another 5.5 years from now. All right, let's crunch some numbers here. Let's talk about the price of SEI, which we'll round down for the sake of convenience. We'll call it 31 cents on the day. It is up 4.7% in the last 24 hours. Again, using 31 cents as a rounder number, simple math here, you need 3.25 million SEI to be a crypto millionaire today. But from September 24th to December 24th, SEI, if you think about it, went up 259%. So similarly, if it does this again in September 25, it's going to be up around the 80 cent mark. At that figure, 80 cents per SEI token, you would need 1.25 million SEI to be a crypto millionaire. However, 80 cents realistically is not even old all-time high territory, nor is $1, but we'll consider $1 again, just for the sake of illustrating. Again, easy math. At $1, you need a million SEI tokens to be a crypto millionaire. Arguably, then the next goal after some price discovery would be a $2 SEI. Simple math. Once again, thankfully, 500,000 SEI to be a crypto millionaire at a $2 token price. Okay. But if SEI were to go really parabolic during this bull run and hit, let's say, $5, that represents the 16x, 16 times our investment at 31 cents, which is not unheard of in previous bull markets. So let's crunch these numbers here. For this, you're going to need to get 200,000 SEI tokens. And at the current price of 31 cents, that's almost $74,000 worth for the potential of $1 million. But that's our rationale. Given everything that's going for this project, that represents a pretty good investment today. It doesn't matter whether you're investing $74,000 or $740 or $7.40. But if SEI one day achieves those kinds of numbers, that's where we get the 16 times multiple. I think this one's even a stretch if I'm going to be candid. $5 is probably not realistic for December 2025. But again, if you like this project fundamentally, in the longer term, I think that is realistic. So no, we didn't invest $74,000 worth, but we did invest some dry powder. We bought up 3,225 SEI tokens. If it does a 16x from here, it multiplies 16 times, then we've invested $1,000 worth. That's going to create a yield of $16,000. Not bad. Let me know what price you think is realistic for SEI in both December 2025 and beyond. Let's call it the height of this bull cycle. Let me know in the comments below, and also be sure to join our ongoing discussions on social media. Those are on X and on Discord. You can find those links in the description of this video.